Hi everyone. Thank you for joining. We're gonna wait 1 minute until everyone join and then we will start. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining us. Many of you know me. I'm Elham Sadri. You probably worked with me on your immigration matter before, and today we're going to talk about citizenship and new trends and updates with USCIS. At the end of updates, I will answer your question in order that I receive. I ask you to wait for my updates to finish. It may take 20-30 minutes, and then ask your question at the Q&A at the bottom of this screen. So I'm gonna start with the update and share my screen first. I just want to share with you this is not legal advice. Everything is educational. If you need to discuss your immigration matter, you need to discuss your immigration matter with your case specific with attorney. You can have a meeting with me later to discuss your specific case. But this is just general information and updates about citizenship and immigration. Also, when you are going to share and ask your question in Q&A, please note this is not confidential environment. Don't share too much of detail about your case, and I won't be able to answer specific case-related question. For now, I'm going to share my screen and the PowerPoint that I prepared for you, and then we go from there. Okay. Okay, sure. Okay. So today we're going to talk about citizenship in 2026, USCIS updates and interview secrets. At this webinar today, we're going to talk how officer review cases today and the trend and practice update, especially in local USCIS office, common risk and that delay or deny citizenship application, interview preparation strategy, how important it is to be prepared for the interview for citizenship interview, and when to apply and when to wait. And then at the end, we're gonna have live Q&A and I will answer your questions. So citizenship requirement haven't changed significantly in this administration. What has been changed basically is the way that USCIS is processing cases. Let me check something. Someone is saying that the slide is blank. Is it blank for everyone or just for one person? Can you see blank? Can you answer in Q&A? Blank? Oh, interesting. Okay, let me. Hmm. Is it better now? Okay, it seems like the PowerPoint is working now. Um, just to make sure that we can see it's better. Okay, good. So, um, I'm gonna continue. The requirement for citizenship hasn't changed significantly. What I mean is that the 3 years or 5 years rule, depending on how you got your green card. If the green card was based on marriage, you need to wait 3 years. If it was based on other grounds that you got your green card, you need to wait 5 years to apply for citizenship. Good moral character change a little. We will discuss. And travel, no travel more than out of US for more than 6 months. That also hasn't changed. And physical presence requirement, half of that 5 years or half of that 3 years hasn't changed yet. So the general requirement of citizenship hasn't changed in this administration. But how USCIS evaluate cases has changed. And they increased scrutiny in naturalization interview and generally in naturalization cases. We will discuss about what aspect of naturalization are subject to more scrutiny. And what works before might not work today. We used to file cases for naturalization with one DUI in last 5 years. We're not going to file it anymore. So it's important to know whatever was okay before, it might not be okay and it might trigger denial or annoyed. So we're seeing that uh, past immigration history of people are being reviewed at the naturalization. It used to be that that's a law that officer is required to make sure that at the naturalization interview, make sure that the person got their green card in a legal way and they were eligible at the time of getting green card. But right now we're seeing more scrutiny and more in-depth search at the citizenship interview for that. For example, whether or not the person was as a single child of a green card holder, was that person really single at the time of getting green card 5 years ago? Or if the marriage was really legit back in 3 years ago that they applied for a green card. They are allowed to get into it and they are allowed to ask some question. It's important to be aware of that possibility. And they are expanding their background check and more detailed question on good moral character. They are going to ask more question about good moral character based on last memo that came out, and that's why the some histories of like the one DUI that was not was okay before, it is going to be an issue for good moral character, or an arrest without charge or conviction can be a good moral character issue right now on the ground of unlawful act, even though there was no charge or conviction. And there are interview questioning more thorough. There are specific questions regarding specific way that people got their green card and specific country situation. So people are from Iran, for example, or they got their green card through NIW. We're seeing specific question that pop up on the screen for officer, and they're gonna start asking those questions. I have a list of those questions that I always practice with my client. Before that, we will get there. But there are specific questions that they're asking for specific type of way that people got their green card and specific countries. So at the California, at San Jose field office USCIS, we see some delay in scheduling naturalization cases. We'll also observe cancellation of non-travel ban countries naturalization cases back in December that hasn't been rescheduled yet, unfortunately. Very few of them have been for other law firm, but I personally had multiple cases for my clients for non-travel ban countries interview that were canceled in December, hasn't been rescheduled yet. And there are some in December was they were canceling interview nationwide. Wasn't only about San Jose or San Francisco, but there are some issue that we are seeing. We're not sure if that's because of changing the resources or what, but um, we're seeing that some interview have been canceled and not being rescheduled yet. Okay, so good moral character. There are factors that officer will look into for making sure that person has a good moral character, meet good moral character requirement for citizenship purpose. Tax filing is one of the requirement. A person with good moral character required to file taxes. Even if that person doesn't have income, we recommend to file zero income tax filing. And criminal citation and violation have to be reported for last 5 years. If they are more than 500, just make sure that the disclosure is requirement, and make sure if there is fine or anything, comply with it, make the payment. It would be helpful to keep the record for over 500, for less than 500, we don't need proof. And DUI and other violation require documentation from court or police. We tend not to provide police report, but for anything that was involving court or DUI, the court document of proving discharge, arrest, conviction, charge, whatever happened in that criminal case has to be provided to the officer at the interview. Officer wants to see it. If it happened more than 10 years ago, usually criminal court purge document after 10 years, but you still are required to get documents showing that the document doesn't exist in court record. And based on the recent good moral character update that we policy that we got, we have seen arrests that didn't lead to charge or conviction are also a good moral character issue under unlawful act. They're saying that that person has done unlawful act, that they were arrested even though they were not charged. So that's enough for lack of good moral character. If that's the case, we recommend to wait 5 years after that incident so that your last 5 years of good moral character statutory requirement become clean, and then apply for citizenship. Travel continuance and travel continuous residence problem. There are some misunderstandings. Some people think that I don't know how they calculate the 6 months requirement, but the thing is that you should not be out of US for more than 6 months in one trip. So none of your trip during last 5 years should be more than 6 months. So you have to come back within less than 6 months. And also you have to be in the US during half of last 5 years or 3 years. So for the people who got their green card through marriage, this is the calculation. Any other way, some people leave and come back every 6 months for 2 weeks and then go back, they think that that's enough. That's not enough. If someone wants to be out of country more than 6 months, it's important to apply for re-entry permit, or some people call it a white passport, before departure of the US. And one of the requirements is to be in the country once you're applying for a white passport or re-entry permit, if you want to stay out of more than 6 months out of the US. If not, then come back less than 6 months. Otherwise, it's breaking physical residency requirement, or they can say you had intent to abandon your residency. So tax compliance and financial issues is also another matter on 1040 form. There are a part of it asking if you have been in the country for half of the year. That make sure that that's also answered. USCIS asks whether or not you have filed your taxes as a resident or non-resident. If someone is a green card holder, supposed to file as a resident. And also installment plan with IRS. If someone has owe anything to IRS, that's lack of good moral character determination for USCIS. But if they are on installment plan, they have a contract with IRS saying that I'm paying this much every month, they should document it and bring it to the interview and provide it to the officer, so officer makes sure that you're making that payment. And then criminal history review. So citation violation needs to for last 5 years. Citation for last 5 years needs to be disclosed. Minor violation, we usually review, make sure that everything needs to be disclosed, but whether or not you need to provide document at the time of citizenship application, that's another story that we go through the document, the violation or arrest or charge. And for small files, less than 500 disclosure is required, but you don't have to keep document provide document to the officer. We still recommend to keep that document for your record that you paid fine, but it's not required to submit it at the time of citizenship application. And serious criminal history require legal review. Each conviction, criminal conviction or charge have a different consequence. Some of them are inadmissibility grounds, some of them are deportability ground. And it's important when someone has conviction to look into and see what's the consequence of that specific conviction. Is it deportable or no? Um, and if there is any post-conviction relief available for that to fix it before applying for citizenship. That's another strategy that we do for our clients, that we reduce the charge, then file it with file citizenship, make sure that they are safe and it's not deportable ground. Misrepresentation and prior immigration issue are something that come up at the naturalization interview. If there was any misrepresentation at the time of applying for green card, or eligibility for green card, that comes up at the citizenship interview. Marriage-based one also is something very common that come up. With regard to misrepresentation at the time of getting green card, I want to share you a story. We had a situation that someone applied for citizenship, and as that person got their green card as a single child of a green card holder years ago, and then he came here as a single child, and there were some marriage divorce history in his background, and then now apply for citizenship. Officer somehow found some document that he might have been married at the time of getting the green card years ago at the time of green card interview. That came up at the citizenship, and it was very serious. It could lead to arrest. It could lead to deportation. So there are situations that eligibility of green card many years ago that person got it can come up at the citizenship interview. An officer might bring it up and confront that person. That's why it's important. Any misrepresentation, any fraud, any error at the time of getting green card is important at the citizenship. It can come up. It's also helpful to review your application for the time of applying for green card to make sure everything was accurate. Maybe there was some honest mistake at the time, or also DS-160. If someone come here on a student visa or tourist visa, and then somehow they get their green card and now it's citizenship stage, they have access to compare all of this information with DS-160 that person filed many years ago when they were applying for tourist visa or student visa, to see what was their marriage status at that time, single or married, what was their employment history, to see if they were working within a specific organization, a government organization. Those are information that are possible to come up at the citizenship interview, and we always try to the extent possible, and client has access to it, we go through it, make sure that they are safe and they are familiar with their own history. Voter registration issue. So only U.S. citizen can vote, and only U.S. citizen can vote in the register for vote registration. While a person is on green card, even naturalization pending, are not supposed to fill out vote registration card or vote. So any of those are considered claim to be citizen. It shouldn't happen. Error discovered during green card that we discussed, yes. So common risk factor and red flag that we see at the citizenship stage are selective service issue for male people applicant who are required to register but they haven't. That's an issue. Divorce during the pendency of a process for people who got their green card through marriage and then divorced at the time of citizenship. Officer can see it, and it's important to make sure everything is clean with that regard. Incorrect marital status on document, that's also another issue. Prior immigration violation, again, if there was any deportation order or any issue before getting a green card in first place. Those are something that can still come up. It's important. It's helpful to review those, be familiar. And absence of longer than 6 months from US, that breaking physical residency, failing to file taxes. Child support is important. Failure to pay child support that is ordered by judge is a lack of good moral character. That's very important. And having underlying application for permanent residency contain error or fraud, as we discussed for previous green card application, if there was a fraud or misrepresentation or error, honest error, it's important to be familiar with it and make sure that you're ready for that. Arrest and conviction and charge with or within or outside of last 5 years is something that we review during our usually session to evaluate whether or not a case is good for citizenship application or they have to wait and see the consequence of those matters. So naturalization interview. What officer, let's say you apply for citizenship, now you got the interview, the schedule. Officer look into these factors. And it's important to be familiar with officer mindset, how where officer mindset is coming from. Depending on if you got your green card through marriage or NIW, perm, depending on either one of them, officer has a different mindset, different list of questions to ask you and look for answer to those issues. Definitely credibility is important. They want to make sure that you're credible. Consistency with past application, green card, DS-160, whatever that was in your past immigration history. Good moral character items that we discussed, tax, criminal history, child support. Those are important. And communication ability, back in English proficiency, that's another issue. Eligibility confirmation, they want to make sure that you're eligible for citizenship. 5 years rule, 3 years rules, not being out of country for more than 6 months, not member of this organization or that organization. Those are like eligibility questions that they will ask at the interview. Also, country specific questions. So they're based on where you're coming from, which country you're from, or the way that you got your green card. There are specific list of questions that pop up for officer on their screen automatically that they have to ask you. And they are sworn statement. You are answering to those questions under penalty of perjury. What I've seen a lot is, for example, for people who Iranian national got their green card through NIW, there are specific questions that officer ask. And I have a list of those questions based on many interviews that I went and came up with that list. And I practice with my client beforehand, make sure that they know those questions and be familiar with those questions. That helps a lot not to face those questions for the first time ever at the interview and be prepared for those questions. So, as I said, officers specifically for country-specific questions, it's important to know what officer is looking for. And for Iranian national with NIW, again, I've seen people getting into too much detail of technicality of the research. We make sure that our client know what question are being the question that are being answered and what factor to consider when you're answering those questions to officer. It's important to know officer is not the same officer that reviewed your NIW 5 years ago, your NIW petition. This officer is naturalization interview, have a different perspective, different requirement, and look for different answer. So it's that's why we try to share with our clients at the prep session, consider those factors when they're answering those questions. So it's easier for an officer to understand and help the process being more smooth. So we, with all of these changes that we're seeing now, and good moral character policy, we're recommending our clients to take some documents in support of their good moral character to the interview. Tax return, travel records, if they've been out of country more than 6 months, which we advise not to apply, but to show that they haven't been out of country. Court record, if despite those record, you still apply, even though we're advising not to apply. Evidence of good moral character and payment receipt for fines. Those are documents that would be helpful to carry to the interview. Again, with this administration, and I know there is a pause, USCIS pause for national of 39 country, including Iran. Once the pause is lifted, we don't know when, but whenever it's lifted, our understanding is that there will be more scrutiny. And so it would be helpful, first of all, to be prepared for that interview. Second, the officer will have more power to deny cases out of discretion rather than statutory, because we said there is the statutory requirement of citizenship hasn't changed. 5-year, 3-year rule, 6 months requirement, physical residency, they haven't changed, but the discretionary factor has changed. So we need to show that your positive discretionary factor outweighed your negative, if any, and maybe just being one of those from one of those 39 countries is going to be negative factor for citizenship because it hasn't been back. The interview hasn't been back. We can't say for sure, but it's our understanding that probably that's going to be the situation. So that's why it would be helpful to show these documents to outweigh positive factors of your case. Red flag that may trigger second interview for naturalization, hopefully not, but inconsistency. After officer review the case, after your testimony at the interview, and then their document, they may see the inconsistency, call for another one. They may call for missing document information, relationship issue, criminal history concern. They may call for second interview. And when to apply or when to wait. If Again, it would be helpful to discuss your specific case with the attorney, but if you have a clean case, it would be okay to file even if you are one of those 39 country on travel ban, on USCIS pause. But if there is any criminal history, any violation, any good moral character issue, definitely discuss with the attorney before that. There are specific situations that we see are more complicated for citizenship. So if someone get their green card through marriage and then divorce and then apply for citizenship, that's definitely something that I recommend going forward with attorney, because there are factors that need to be discussed and be prepared beforehand. If someone apply for citizenship and has a pending 751 removal of condition, again through marriage, that's also another thing, and both couple has to attend at the interview. That's also something that we prepare our clients for that, and which is also called combo interview. And prior immigration issue, it would be helpful to have a discussion with the attorney, make sure that you are properly prepared for that interview and case. So what's important is that to know security is going to be higher. It is higher now, but for cases subject to pause, whenever it's pause is lifted, then the security is higher. Preparation of the case and interview can reduce risk for your case. Documentation matter in your case, what document to take with you at the interview. And interview preparation is critical because every case, every nationality, every case type, based on the way that you got your green card, matter what type of question officer will ask you. And we prepare, or we go through those. We do mock interview, we prep our clients for those questions, make sure that they are ready for those questions. Okay, before I start, move to Q&A and answer your question, I'm gonna share with you a question that we have been hearing a lot recently from our clients. Question that what happened after citizenship, and how do I protect my assets and property for my family in the United States? Let's say someone is a US citizen. How do they protect their assets? How do they protect their family? How do they protect their children? Guardianship. Who will take care of their children if something, God forbid, happened to them? These are matters that we have heard a lot from our clients, immigrant clients, who might not even have many family members or trusted people around them in the US. That's why we started offering a service for family planning. We're offering estate planning and family protection to our immigrant family members, including trust, drafting their trust, preparation of trust document, pour over will. If you're living in California, probate is very expensive. No one wants to go to probate, and if you don't know why, I'd be happy to talk to you about why and show you, depending on how much asset you have, how much will go to probate from your asset to process your asset. Power of attorney for taking care of financial if the person is not able to take care of their finance, healthcare directive, protection of children, guardianship, and avoiding probate. These are services that we offer immigrant family or for family protection. And after this webinar end, I will send you an email with a link to schedule complimentary consultation with me if you want to discuss about this and if you don't know why it's important. Everyone over the age of 18 in the US needs to have it. People who are from Iran, like me, we don't have that concept in our legal system. If you don't know why it matters, it might be because you haven't came across that situation or because we don't have that in our home country. That's why it's important. And I'd be happy to talk to you about that. Okay, next slide is Q&A. So I'm gonna move to question. If you have any question, drop your question in Q&A and I'd be happy to answer your questions. Okay, so Anonymous is asking if you were wrongfully charged with and have DV, which stands for domestic violence. Now, can you apply